Shalom. First and foremost, want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Ba'ashem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem, Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing His word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping His word of sincerity and the truth. All right. I wanted to go into a lesson kind of centered around the conversation I was having earlier today. And just kind of going into how standards have been set, standards as far as Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. He got standards on how he want his people to live and how he want them to conduct themselves on the earth, in order for us to thrive, And in the times that we're living in right now, it's imperative for salvation, because for us men, we know that we're not getting out of this situation alive, or rather, we're not getting out of this situation through Yahweh Shai unless we live up to the best of our ability by keeping the law, statutes, and commandments, but live up to the standards that Yahweh Shai set, or Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai have set for us, as it say in Baruch chapter 4, which I'm gonna get that. I'll probably get that real quick right now. But this is also, for women as well. This is Baruch 4:1. It says, "This is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law that endureth forever." So this is the book, the Bible. It got the commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, what He commands, what He expects of us, and the law that we are supposed to keep. All that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. So all that keep it, you're going to live. We're going to really experience what life is all about, because since we've been under Esau Edom's rulership really this whole time, but just using America's captivity, since we've been under Esau Edom, the so-called white man, we have not experienced what true living really is. Really since we've been on this earth, we haven't experienced what real living is. We haven't really experienced what reality is all about, because what Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai is finna open unto us is far beyond anything we could ever imagine, as that's what the scriptures say. I'm gonna get that real quick too. This is Isaiah 64:4. It says, "For since the beginning of the world, men have not heard, nor perceived by the ear, neither have the eye seen, O God, besides thee, what He have prepared for him that waiteth for Him." Right. We haven't experienced what real reality is, because reality, the word reality has the word real in it. And I might look that up real quick. Reality, see if I can we'll try to go forward from here. Let me pull it up real quick. I'll come back to this. It says reality refers to the state of things as they actually exist, rather than as they are imagined, feared, or wished to be. It encompasses the totality of facts, existence, and actual occurrences, often contrasted with fiction or fantasy. Key synonyms include actuality, truth, fact, realism, and existence. So we haven't really experienced what reality is all about. Esau Edom got this system set up to where first and foremost, the Israelites are at the bottom, and we're just serving. We serving, paying bills, having to continually work till we get old. Now we living in his reality where family structure is not even a thing anymore. I was told, not too long ago, recently, it was from someone I had told, that it was rare to even have both of your parents together. That's not how the Lord set things up. And a part of the compatibility between a man and a woman, Esau has destroyed that. He's destroyed what a man is supposed to do, and how a man is supposed to think, and how he's supposed to direct his family, and how a woman is supposed to follow that man's lead. and support that man in his enterprise and what he's doing, you know, especially because, like I said from the beginning, it's imperative for salvation that we live up to the standards that Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua has set. So let me go back to this again. Baruch chapter 4, verse 1. This is the book of the commandments of the Most High. So these are the commandments, the things that the Lord requires for us to do, because he commanded it. And the law that endureth forever. All that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. So it's gonna be a massive depopulation on the earth, because the commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua, the laws, are not being kept, primarily amongst the Israelites, because that's who it was given to. The Lord gave his people the laws, statutes, and commandments. Let me get that real quick. This is Psalms chapter 82. Is it 82? Oh no, it's Psalms. So 147. It's Psalms 147 and 19. He showeth his word unto Jacob, his statutes and his judgments unto Israel. He have not dealt so with any nation, and as for his judgments, they have not known them. Praise ye the Lord. So the Lord gave us the laws, statutes, and commandments to keep them. And here it is. You have in modern day time Israelites, and I ain't just speaking of Israelites that know they Israelites, but including Israelites that know they Israelites, are not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, and they don't have the mindset to do so. They are actually in rebellion against the Lord's laws, statutes, and commandments. But the Lord meant what he said. All that keep it shall come to life, which is going into the elect, but such as leave it shall die. And that's what's going to be the reality for a lot of Israelites. That's why there's a whole such thing as a 2/3. Let me get that real quick. And I'm going to go back to that Romans chapter 12 as well. This is, where is that? Zechariah chapter 13, verses 8 and 9. It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, and the land that it's talking about is America, Babylon the Great. That's why it's singular. The land is talking about America. And it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. So the 2 parts is the 2/3. And that's the majority of the Israelites over here in America. The majority of Israelites in America will not make it out because they are not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments, and they don't have a mindset to do so, you know. And then you got Israelites that know they are Israelites and still refuse to do the will of Yahweh Ba'ashim Yahushua. So 2/3 will be cut off and die, but the third, and the 2/3 is men, women, and children, but the majority of the 2/3 is going to be women. It's a lot of women that will not be saved in the times that's to come because they're wicked. They're extremely, extremely wicked, that's why I had the Houston spring break tab up, just to kind of give an example of what went down last week, you know. And as you can see, Houston spring break is out of control. Now I'm not gonna play the video this time, but you know, you had Jake and Eve, you know, the so-called black man, so-called black woman out there wilding. And not only just in Houston, they was in Daytona Beach wilding. On top of all the locations where Jake is at across the United States, they're wilding. And see, this is what was going on. Let me finish this. This is Zechariah 13, 8 and 9. Then I'm gonna go more into it. It says, and it shall come to pass that in all the land, saith the Lord, 2 parts therein shall be cut off and die, but the third shall be left therein. Now this is why. And this is what was exemplified last weekend, you know, on a whole nother level. Hosea 4 and 1. Hear the word of the Lord, ye children of Israel, for the Lord have a controversy with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no truth. And as a matter of fact, let me get this in the AMP. I'm gonna come back to that Romans. It's Hosea 4 and 1 in the AMP. Hear the word of the Lord, you children of Israel, for the Lord has a legal case with the inhabitants of the land, because there is no faithfulness, no steadfast love, no dependability or loyalty or kindness or knowledge of the Most High from personal experience with him in the land. And this is what is going on in our communities. Our people, they don't know Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua. They're not trying to get to know the Lord's standards, his laws, statutes, and commandments. The men are not trying to serve the Lord. They're not, we were, first and foremost, we was never taught how to be Israelites. You know, we didn't grow up in our culture for the most part. You have some Israelites, they grew up knowing, but for the mass majority of Israelites, we didn't know that we were Israelites until the Lord woke us up at some point. But you got a lot of Israelites that's not coming into it. They're literally choosing to be rebellious against the Heavenly Father. And this is how they're rebellion, or this is how they're rebelling. This is some of the things that's going on. Verse 2, there is false swearing of oaths, so lying, deception, broken faith, murder, stealing, and adultery. This is not what goes on amongst the so-called Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Native American communities, but especially amongst the so-called Black communities. False swearing or lying, deception, murder, stealing, and adultery, killing. You know, is that not what go on? Just think about all the adultery that happens amongst our community. Adultery was a sin unto death. It is a sin unto death. Not was, it is a sin unto death. You know? And it's not to say that we haven't all committed sins worthy of death before we came into this truth. The Lord had mercy, and then put us to death. But especially after we know, we ain't trying to do nothing like that, because the Lord will take you out in a horrible way. And just think about the Israelites that don't know the truth, that's not trying to know the truth. The Lord is not going to allow them. He's not going to pardon them for that. They're going to be judged. This is what's going on. I'm reading again. There is false swearing of oaths, deception, broken faith, murder, stealing, and adultery. They employ violence so that one act of bloodshed closely follows closely on another. This is what goes on amongst our communities. This is what happens in the Israelite community. A lot of it gets reported on the news, but then you got things that goes unreported. Where on the news is it being reported that somebody's wife stepped out on her husband and cheated? What they call cheating is adultery. Or where is it where, so-called boyfriend, girlfriend, because that's modern day labels. There was no such thing in the ancient world of a boyfriend and a girlfriend. We had marriages. You had wives and husbands, and you had arranged marriages. There was no such thing as the woman going out, finding her man, finding her person, whatever you want to call it. No, the father married the daughter off, and the daughter was raised to be a wife. She was raised already possessing the qualities that make her wife material. But in today's time, women have to learn. And you have a lot of women that don't want to learn how to be a wife because they don't want to be a wife. A lot of women, especially young women, do not want to be wives, and they don't want to be mothers. And we see it because of how these children are being raised. Families are not being created. You literally have babies or children being created, but not families. How does that work? The Lord had this system set up to where families were to be created. When you have sex, it was for the means of bringing life into the earth, aka creating families. But what goes on is people just having sex, all casual sex, having sex all, with everybody. You got casual dating. That's what goes on. You have sex with that person, y'all break up, she go find somebody else. Or he go get with another woman. And that woman already had somebody or is with somebody. This is what's going on. And the Lord is seeing all of it. This is not his design or how he created it. But like it said in Baruch, all that keepeth shall come to life, such as leaveth shall die. So let me read it again. Verse 2. There is false swearing of oaths, deception, broken faith, murder, stealing, and adultery. They employ violence so that one act of bloodshed follows closely on another. And this is still happening, like I said, in modern day time. It's even worse now. Verse 3, therefore the land continually mourns, and everyone who lives in it languishes in tragic suffering together with the animals of the open country and the birds of the heaven, even the fish of the sea disappear. So the Lord, this is a part of the judgment that he brought. This happened in the ancient world, but it's going to happen again on a whole nother scale. He said everybody in the land going to be mourning, but it ain't for the elect to mourn. It ain't for the elect to go through that trouble. When I mean go through the trouble, I mean it's not for the elect to be judged by the troubles that's coming, by the evils that's coming. It's for the wicked to be judged. Even though the elect is going to go through it, the Lord is going to be with them. Lord, the elect is not going to have to worry about if they can find food or if they're going to be eating, what they're going to eat, what they're going to drink, how it's going to, where they, security is going to come from. They're not going to worry about that. And primarily, the men are not going to worry because they trust Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashah. They know the Lord is going to protect them no matter what situation they're in. And women that's of the elect are going to be saved through the men. I'm going to come back to that. Verse 4. Matter of fact, let me just get to the point. Verse 6. My people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, of my law, where I reveal my will. So the Lord said, look, my people are destroyed. That they're foolish. They're ignorant. They have no knowledge. So they're in a destroyed state of mind because they don't know the will of Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashah. But not only do our people not know, they don't want to know. And that's what he's going to go into. It says, because you, the priestly nation, have rejected knowledge. So it's not that our people just don't know. They don't care to know. They're rejecting it. I will also reject you from being my priest. Since you have forgotten the law of your God, I will also forget your children. And that's what's going to go on. It's going to be a lot of death and a lot of judgment in the days that's to come. It's already a lot of judgment going on. I seen a video earlier. I can't remember which brother had uploaded it, but he had another TikTok video where it was saying you literally have underage girls in these ICE detention facilities. That's Northern Kingdom. Being in them ICE facility detention centers, all of them winding up pregnant. They say they underage, so I'm pretty sure they either in their teens, they in their early teens, middle to early teens. They all winding up pregnant, and it's coming out that the ICE agents are the ones raping them. The ICE agents are the ones raping. That's Esau. And then not only just that, they said that they're going to move them to another facility somewhere on a remote island to keep them quote unquote safe. So they're literally saying all these underage girls are going to be relocated to some type of remote island for safekeeping, to keep them safe. But they already winded up pregnant where they at. So what's going on. Things are already starting to go down. And we already know what they do or what was coming out with those Epstein files and what they was doing with those children. So what do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen? These people are already being exposed for how wicked they are. And this is only the beginning. And it might not seem as bad or detrimental until it come to your city. It come to your area. It come to your neighborhood. Then you will start to see and feel the terror and the fear that these people, our people are experiencing. But these, again, are the judgments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Awashah, and it don't stop there. I'm going to get Ezekiel chapter 9, start at verse 4. AMP, the Lord said to him, go through the midst of the city throughout all of Jerusalem and put a mark on the foreheads of the men who sigh in distress and grieve over all the repulsive acts which are being committed in it. A part of those repulsives, and in that KJV it say abominations or abominable, go back to what we read in Hosea 4, where it said lying, killing, deception, false oaths, stealing, murder, adultery. These are just some of the repulsive acts or abominations that was being done in the midst amongst our own people that we see, on top of the whole alphabet community. That's a whole nother thing. These are the things that's being sighed and cried about. These are the things that the prophets are prophesying against. that's going on amongst the Israelites. This is why it's going to be so much judgment, and it's going to be unimaginable judgment coming on our people, 2/3 of them. But to the others, I heard him say, follow him, the man with the scribe's writing case, throughout the city and strike. Do not let your eyes have pity, and do not spare anyone. Utterly slay old men, young men, maidens, which are women, little children, and women. But do not touch or go near anyone on whom is the mark. Begin in my sanctuary. So they began with the old men who were in front of the temple, who did not have the Lord's mark on their foreheads. Again, that mark is going into a mark of exemption from judgment. And the men that sign and crown are the men of the Lord, and they are the true prize. You know, this is what. Well, let me get this first. Isaiah 32, verses 1 and 2 in the AMP. It says, behold, a king will reign in righteousness, and princes will rule in justice. The king is Yahweh Shai. The princes go into the 144,000, which is 12,000 men from each of the 12 tribes that will rule alongside Yahweh Shai in the kingdom of heaven. Verse 2, it said, each one of them, which is going into the men of the Lord, will be like a hiding place from the wind. So all these things are going into judgment. The wind, that's a form of judgment from Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. And a shelter from the storm, which again, the storm is the judgment from Yahweh Shai. So then you got to imagine this. A very strong wind just blowing everything through, blowing everything towards your direction. A very strong wind blowing everything towards your direction. It's dangerous. You can get hit with something, get knocked out, or possibly get cut, or even die. But a man of the Lord is like that covering that keep you from getting hit by something. You get behind something, and whatever you're behind is stable enough to withstand that wind. It says, in a shelter from a storm. It's just like you see a bad storm coming. It's pounding, raining outside. It's lightning like crazy, thundering like crazy. If possible, tornadoes in the area. The first thing you want to do is get somewhere safe so that you don't have to deal with none of those elements or none of that weather. Because if you outside, you can possibly get hit by lightning. You could possibly get in an accident. That wind could possibly throw you somewhere, and you can lose your life. In all these situations, you can possibly lose your life. So a man of the Lord is like a shelter from that wind. Because when any type of storm come through, the first thing people say is, let me get inside. That's how the men of the Lord are going to be. Like streams of water in a dry land. You can literally be on the road traveling from one state to another state and forget some water. And you get to a certain point and you get thirsty. The first thing you're trying to do is find the nearest store to go find some water. You go find the nearest rest area, or possibly even a gas station, which a lot of times they be rest areas. You're going to go find the nearest rest area to go find some water. And now just imagine you on something where you're not in control of driving. You may be on the bus or on the train, so now you literally got to wait. And ain't no telling how long. That's how a man of the Lord is going to be. He's going to be that water when you have access to no water. You dehydrated. Like the shade of a huge rock in a parched and weary land to those who turn to them. So just like you somewhere where it's extremely hot, the sun beaming, and you need somewhere to stand in the shade so that you don't just get overly cooked, overheated, pass out, and you finally find that shade. That's how the men of the Lord are going to be. Like I said, all these are judgments that the men of the Lord, the elect man of Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai, are going to protect women and those who turn to them. So it'll be children too. It may be his own family. It may be a sister that's of the elect that have a little one, that have a child, that the Lord pair up with this man to be protected. That's how the men of the Lord are going to be, because the men of the Lord are the prize. Now I'm going to get that in Isaiah 13 and 12 in the KJV. Oh, I went to Jeremiah. Isaiah 13:12, KJV. I will make a man, and this man is again an Israelite man of the elect. He said, I will make a man more precious than fine gold, even a man than the golden wedge of Ophir. Ophir is going into the most purest and rarest gold on earth. It's the most purest and rarest gold on earth. And the Lord said he's going to make a man, which again is the same man that we just read about in Isaiah 32, the elect man, the Israelite man of the elect. That's so-called Black, Hispanic, Latino, and Native American man of the elect will be more precious than fine gold in that time. Because as we go up a couple verses, I start at 6. It says, Howl ye, for the day of the Lord is at hand. It shall come as a destruction from the Almighty. So it's going into judgment. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. Heart goes into their mind, meaning that people are going to lose their mind because of the judgments of Yahweh Hashem Shah. You got famine, which let me get there real quick. Let me just get some of the judgments. 2nd Ezra chapter 15, starting at verse, I started 1. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I would put in thy mouth, saith the Lord, and cause them to be written in paper, for they are faithful and true. Fear not the imaginations against thee. Let not the incredulity of them trouble thee that speak against thee. Meaning, don't let their unbelief cause you to fall off. You know, that's what incredulity go into, being unfaithful or unbelieving. It says, for all the unfaithful shall die in their unfaithfulness. So again, 2/3 of our people that don't believe, that's not a true believer. The Lord said you're going to die in your unbelief. And that's the worst thing you can be as an Israelite, is an unbeliever. You don't believe in your own power. How do you not believe in your power, and your power is the creator? Verse 5. Now this is going into, I'm going to read this again. Isaiah 13:7. Therefore shall all hands be faint, and every man's heart shall melt. It says, and they shall be afraid. Pains and sorrow shall take hold of them. They shall be in pain as a woman that travaileth. A woman in travail. When she's I'm reading the AMP. I'm going to finish it though. It says, they shall be amazed one at another. Their faces shall be as flames. Now this is verse 8 in the AMP. They of Babylon, and modern day Babylon is America, will be shocked and terrified. Pains and anguish will grip them. They will be in pain like a woman in childbirth. They will stare aghast and horrified at one another, their faces aflame from the effects of the unprecedented warfare. And we literally are at war. We are already at war. And it's going to be a draft. And they're going to draft men off to go die in that war. That's literally prophecy. That's gonna depopulate the majority of men. That's gonna be where your man. It's gonna be a depopulation of men. We're gonna go back to it. This is verse 5 in 2nd Ezra 15:5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. Why? It says, for wickedness have exceedingly polluted the whole earth, and their hurtful works are fulfilled. So the Lord said, people are going to be dying from the sword. The modern day sword is gun. It's going to be a lot of gun violence, an increase in gun violence. You know, that's what people are going to be hearing more and more. A lot of gunshots, a lot of gunfire. It sounds like a warfare out here because America is the most armed country on the face of the earth. So a lot of what's going to be taking people out, a lot of judgments taking people out, it's going to be because of gunfire or, you know, the modern day guns. Then he said by famine. So it's going to literally be people starving, not eating, can't find food. And people they're going to be so desperate that they're going to turn to cannibalism, trying to survive. And people are going to see it. People are going to hear about it. They're going to witness it. And some people are going to see it and hide from it, but know what's going on. It's going to be people eating their children. It's going to be people eating each other. This is literally going to be a lot of judgment that's going to be happening in modern day Babylon the Great America. And we not too far away from these events or these judgments coming to pass. It says death and destruction. And not to mention actual plagues like diseases. It's going to, matter of fact, this the perfect time to bring it up now. Spring break in Houston, spring break 2026. Now let me put let me see. I'm gonna just put Houston STD 2026. Look, 4 days ago, nurse reveals shocking STD rates in Houston. Well, most of it's going into this nurse. Let me see what see if AI say something. Well, look, 3 hours ago, let's see what this is. It says Houston has seen a huge spike in STDs following the infamous, and I'm pretty sure it's supposed to say spring break. Look, Houston STD cases in Houston spike following spring break. Houston, Texas STD stats: chlamydia, 31,406 cases. Gonorrhea, 12,935 cases. Syphilis, 5,670 cases. HIV, around 33 to 35,000 cases from just 1 week. It says Houston has seen a huge spike in STDs following the infamous spring break week. And these people are spreading this. All these people went from Houston. They from around the country. Now they going back to where they came from and taking that everywhere else. And this is a part of what was going on in Houston. Look at it. All these are Israel. Well, I don't know if it's any other nations out there, but the majority of these people out here are Israelites. And what else what they was doing out there in Houston during the spring break? They literally have videos of Jake in the car with the windows down, two a man and a woman in the front, man and a woman in the back having sex. People recording them. You know Jake was out there smoking. Jake was, like I said, they was out there committing all types of adultery. They got a whole what is that? A trend. First day in Houston. You got to put 2026 just to look. First day in Houston. TikTok's first day in Houston trend. And they supposed to be showing who they slept with, which a lot of it be for attention too. But they supposed to be showing who they slept with the first day in Houston, I guess. They showing who they had a one night stand with. All this went down, adultery, and then like I said, not even to mention the whole alphabet community. That went down because that's what was out there. Alongside the rest of our people. What was I? Let me read this again. 2 Ezra 15:5. Behold, saith the Lord, I will bring plagues upon the world, the sword, famine, death, and destruction. So you can see why the Lord is finna do so, because our people are completely out of control. And not only just our people, you got the whole earth. All these nations are completely out of control, especially Esau, Edom. But 2/3 of our people, they on a whole nother level. They on a whole nother level. And like I said, the majority of the 2/3 is going to be women. These women are completely out of order. They're completely out of their design that Yahweh Shem Abishai created them to be. Our women are completely outside of their design. And a lot of women are going to be rejected during the time of Isaiah 4:1. Now let me get back to this. Isaiah 13:8. They of Babylon will be shocked and terrified. Pains and anguish will grip them. They will be in pain like a woman in childbirth. And if the men are going to be like this, what do you think the women are going to be like? If men are going to be like women in the time of the Lord bring these judgments on the earth, what do you think women going to do? They're going to be extremely, extremely terrified. They will stare aghast and horrified at one another, their faces aflame from the effects of the unprecedented warfare. I'm gonna stay in the AMP. Listen carefully. The day of the Lord is coming. cruel with wrath and raging anger, to make the land a horror of devastation, and he shall exterminate its sinners from it. This is what the Lord is going to do to Babylon, the great America. And not only just, like I say, of Esau, Edom, because we know the Lord is, he's bringing that, he's going to bring the pain to Esau, but 2/3 of our people are finna experience this. This is finna be the worst time in history. As the scriptures say, Jacob's trouble is a time like never before. And like I always be mentioning, when you have horror movies or you got like these apocalyptic movies that people watch, everybody that watch the movie always want to associate themselves with the main character. That's how I would be. That's how I'd be thinking, because the main character, if they died, then the show, the show must go on. So they have to survive, at least until the end, because not all the time do they live, but they have to survive at least until the end. So you got other characters or random characters. They be the ones, if it's some type of explosion or something, they be the ones getting smashed by rubble, just out of nowhere. You just see rubble crush somebody, or they be the ones when they panicking and trying to get out of danger. They be the ones getting hit by cars and dying on the spot. And people don't realize that that's how they gonna be dying. That's how it's gonna go down. That's literally how it's gonna be. Where you see gunfire and people getting shot, it be like a whole shootout, and then you just see somebody randomly get shot and they fall over and die. That's how it's going to be for a lot of people. A lot of the very people that go and watch the movies, watching the Lord, that's how cold the Lord is. He'll have somebody to go watch a movie, and they probably actually like movies like that. They'll go watch these movies and see the scenes where people just get randomly killed by something. It just seemed like it's a random death. And they watching exactly how the Lord is going to take them out, because they're wicked, because he's judging them. And they refuse, and I'm talking about Israelites, they refuse to repent and turn to Yahweh Shema Shah. These Edomites, they have no chance. They're doomed. They have no chance, and rightfully so. But Jake don't realize that the Lord is not playing. This is how he's finna do it. The protagonists, the ones that escape the judgment, those be the ones, that's how the elect is gonna be. They gonna narrowly escaping these judgments, getting away. They might go somewhere and find the abundance of food or find the supplies that they need. It seems like they always just find the right place to be. That's how it's gonna be for the elect, and everybody else is gonna be the ones getting randomly torn apart. It might be some type of movie where it be some creature, some wild animal, some creature, and it's tearing up everybody else, and the protagonist hiding. They hearing it. You hearing it because you watching the protagonist, but you hearing the other people getting torn to shreds. They screaming. Well, that's gonna be the majority of 2/3. That's how it's going to go down for them. So that's why he said he shall exterminate his sinners from it. They ain't gonna have no chance for salvation, because again, the men need Yahweh Shah for salvation. Women will need a man of the Lord to be saved. Verse 10, for the stars of heaven and their constellations will not flash with their light. The sun will be dark when it rises, and the moon will not shed its light. In this way, I will punish the world for its evil, and the wicked for their wickedness, their sin, their injustice, their wrongdoing. So the world just going into how the Lord's going to judge the earth. And then the wicked is, of course, that's Esau, Edom, but you got wicked of our nation too, 2/3. So they're going to be caught up in this judgment too. I will also put an end to the arrogance of the proud and will abase the arrogance of the tyrant. Now, keep in mind, we read Isaiah 32, where it said a man shall be as a hiding place from the wind. That means the elect are going to go through it, but the Lord is going to be there with them. It says, I will make mortal man, which again, this is just going into an Israelite man of the elect. This is what it's talking about. This is what it's actually trying to say. I will make a mortal man more rare than fine gold, and mankind scarcer than the pure gold of Ophir. Because again, with the judgments that the Lord got coming, it's going to be a mass depopulation. A lot of men are going to get shipped off to, over there to the war to die, and then the men that's still here. So, well, you already gonna have a decrease in the population of men. Then the men that's still here, they gonna be getting judged, and they gonna be, the Lord gonna use them to cast judgment on women. But a lot of those men, they gonna be getting judged. So now it's gonna be even less men. And then the men of the Lord, they ain't gonna be around to be seen to where people can just access them, you know. So that's why it's gonna be like I said, they should be scarcer. It's gonna be hard to find because the Lord is not finna save every single Israelite this time, like he did in ancient Egypt. When our people came out of Egypt, he delivered every Israelite. Every Israelite would not be saved in this from this kingdom. You're gonna have Israelites that be judged. So let me get Isaiah 4:1 real quick. It says in the AMP, and in that day 7 women would take hold of 1 man. So that 7 goes into completion. The men of the Lord will have multiple wives in that. Really, it's already starting now. But when the judgments intensify, then it's going to amplify. This verse is going to amplify. But it says, and in that day 7 women would take hold of 1 man, saying, we will eat our own food and and provide our own clothes. Only let us be called by your name. Take away our shame of being unmarried. So women saying, look, we'll be able to take care of ourselves. That's why I say it's starting now too, because you have Israelite women that's getting with brothers, believers, or just women in general that's getting with brothers because they realize they need a man. Esau set up a system and made especially our women, believe that they don't need a man when you were created to serve a man. That goes back to Genesis. You were created to serve a man. You were created for the purpose of a man. So our women was deceived by Esau Edom to believing that they don't need a man and trying to figure out how and trying to live life without having a man or being submissive to a man. Now we at the end, the Lord is setting the earth back in order, but that's coming through judgments. Now they realizing they really need a man. So the women that's of Isaiah 4:1 that's actually going to be chosen have already come to that conclusion that not only do they need a man, but they have to be submissive and stay that way in order to keep that man. And then it said to be called by his name, that comes through marriage. And marriage, according to the Bible, it comes through sex. So that they would have to have sex in order for her to truly become his wife. But like I said, even now, you got situations where women are getting with the men of the Lord and they are becoming his women and they are staying there. And then that man might have somebody else that he's dealing with or multiple women because 7 goes into completion. So there is no set number for that, of women for that man to have. However many women the Lord has set for that man, however many women he choose. He might choose 3, he might choose 30, he might choose 300. And these ain't just no numbers we throwing out here. These are realistic numbers. Because again, Isaiah 4:1, it says 7 women is a complete number of women. And it's not only just for that man to just have women just to have sex with. It's for the purpose of repopulation. And on top, that's the main purpose. But on top of that, women were created for the man. Let me get that next. But this is Isaiah 6. Well, matter of fact, let me hold on for this Isaiah 6. Let me get that. Get that in Timothy. Is that Timothy? Yeah. No, it's Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 11. Starting at 3 in the AMP. But I want you to understand that Yahweh Shai is the head authority over of every man. So Yahweh Shai has the authority of over every man. And the man is the head of the woman, and the Most High is the head of Yahweh Shai. So Paul is going through the order. It's the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shai, the man, and then the woman. That's the order. Women are not supposed to have authority over a man, telling the man what to do, trying to talk over him, trying to cut him off, speak over him. And it don't matter the age either. You can be an older woman and have a younger brother. You still show that man respect because he is the head over you, That's how it's supposed to be. Esau the one that make it seem like it's an age thing. That doesn't mean, we don't respect people that's older than us or nothing like that. But when it comes to order, the man is the head of the woman. So, like I said, it could be a woman. She might have a younger husband. You still show that man respect, because he has authority over you. And if it's a man of the Lord, he is your salvation. He is the way that you're going to be saved. So why wouldn't you want to stay within his order so that you can be saved with him? Verse 4. Every man who prays or prophesies with something on his head dishonors his head and the one who is his head. So men, we're not supposed to pray or prophesy with anything covering our head, like a hat or any type of covering. When we pray or prophesy, our head is supposed to be clear, and the crown of our head, it's supposed to be clear. It don't supposed to have nothing on it, because then that we disrespecting Yahweh Shai, who is our head. It says, and every woman who prays or prophesies, and that doesn't mean she prophesies, because women are not prophets. They don't prophesy, and a prophetess is not a woman that prophesies. That's a woman. That's either a woman that's the wife of a prophet, or a woman that has a dream about prophecies and she tell it to her husband. But a prophetess is not a prophet, a female prophet. There is no such thing as a female prophet. The Lord never had a female prophet, and there never will be a female prophet, because that's not your order. But a woman that prays, like you said, or prophesies, when she has her head uncovered, disgraces her head, which is her man. For she is one and the same as a woman whose head is shaven in disgrace. Right. So women are not supposed to be uncovered when they pray, or when they pray to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Their head is supposed to be covered at all times when they praying to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. That's disrespectful to their man, because he is their covering. He is their head. And if they don't have a husband, just say it might be a little girl, her father is her head. Women were always under a man. Even if she was an older woman, and I ain't gonna say older, even if she was a woman at a marriageable age but doesn't have a husband yet, her father is still her head. That's so women always have a man over them. Verse 6. If a woman does not cover her head, she should have her hair cut off. And if it is disgraceful for a woman to have her hair cut off or her head shaved, she should cover her head. And it says a man ought not to have his head covered during worship, since he is the image and reflected glory of the Heavenly Father. But the woman is the expression of man's glory. So the woman is the glory of a man. And that's true, because as a man, we love women. We love women. And it's not that Israelite men hate women, or we hate black women, or nothing like that. No, we hate the wickedness. We don't like let me say it like this. Women that's not in their order, that's not following Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua, you're gonna be destroyed. You don't want to serve a man, you don't want to get in order, you out here completely out of order, you're gonna be destroyed by Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. Point blank, period. And you're gonna have a horrible judgment. It don't mean we hate our women, we just telling the truth, because our women are completely out of order. You don't see the other nations. You don't see what women of the other nations do you see all on social media twerking, or all in the public twerking, just out of nowhere, just twerking, known for twerking? What do you see them just dressing all promiscuous? Now, of course, you got Edomites that do that because they've been because Esau set the trap for our women, and his people and his women fell for it too. That's a part of the judgment from Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahushua. The Lord said he gonna set a trap and he gonna fall into it. So the same thing that he said for our people, his people fell into it, But outside of America, where do you see the other countries where their women are dressing all provocative? They showing their bodies, showing their breasts, any portion of their breasts, showing their shape of their figures. Hey, you have Ishmael, the Iranians, the Arabs, they'll come over here. Their women will be fully covered up, or even the Indians. Their women will be, so-called, of course. Their women will be fully covered up. You can't even see their shape, You barely can see their face, because some of them, they might have their face uncovered. But then the ones that don't, you just see their eyes. And they fully cover up. But then when they are at home amongst their husband get to see that, because that's only for his eyes to see. Our women don't understand that. They don't understand that your body is only for your husband to see and to explore and to have access to. They show it for everybody. And then when they get dressed to go out, they want everybody to see their shape. They be with their man, be with their husband. They want everybody to see their shape, see their figure. But then when their husband get mad about it, now he insecure. But when a man looking at you, he start plotting, he trying to figure out who you are, and he starting to plot on you because he gonna slide into your DM. Now your husband insecure, but the same thing that he knew was gonna happen actually happened. That's why the Lord didn't allow women to show their body, show their figure, because it was gonna activate men to want to lust after you. Because like it say, woman is the glory of the man. So if a man is seeing this woman and she got a nice figure, she look good, but she belonging to another man, and in this modern society, like we read in Hosea 4, it said lying, killing, murder, stealing, and adultery, that leads into adultery. Our women not supposed to dress like that. They don't care. They do not care about the standards of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. But again, Baruch chapter 4, all that keep it. This is the book of the law of the commandments. This is the book of the commandments of the Most High, and the law that endure forever. All that keep it shall come to life, but such as leave it shall die. That's why a lot of our people are going to be put to death. Verse 8, for man does not originate from the woman, but woman from man. For indeed, man was not created for the sake of woman, but woman for the sake of man. So they're letting you know, we wasn't created equal. We wasn't created for women. Women were created for us. That's how the Lord set it up. And that doesn't belittle you. That doesn't belittle a woman or make you seem insignificant. You just not understanding your proper role. You don't understand the purpose of why you were created. It's not to belittle you. It's not to put you down or make it seem like you subhuman or something. No, you were created as a counterbalance for us. Women do not, and see, when women think about it, hear these scriptures and think it's putting them down, you don't truly understand what men go through. You don't understand what men have to deal with in this world. That's why you can't understand when scriptures say you were created for the sake of man, because you don't understand what men go through. And women don't take the time out to truly understand what men have to deal with in this world and the responsibilities given to a man by Yahweh Shem Yahushua, and then amplified by being in captivity under Esau Edom. You don't really and then on top of that, having to deal with the spiritual attacks from demons, Satan. Like, you don't really understand. So having a solid woman that's in her role that really supports her man, you don't really understand how beneficial that is. So again, when you read scriptures like women was created for the man and they have to be submissive, you don't understand what your submissiveness, how it greatly affects that man. And women don't think about it like that either. Your part is needed. Let me get that in Genesis chapter 2 and 18. It's Genesis chapter 2 and 18 in the AMP. It says, now the Lord, Yahweh Shem Yahushua said, it is not good, beneficial for the man to be alone. I will make him a helper, one who balances him, a counterpart who is suitable and complementary for him. See, the Lord said that this was the one thing that the Lord said was not good in the beginning. For man to not have, and mainly he was talking about Adam, because man and woman were already together. Life was already going on before the Lord gave Adam the laws, statutes, and commandments. That's what, when he breathed that breath into Adam, he gave Adam the laws, statutes, and commandments on how to govern the earth, so that he can be the ruler of the earth. But Adam wasn't meant to do it alone. That's why the Lord said, I'm going to give him somebody that's going to help him. Like it said, one that balances him, because the Lord is all about balance. Let me get that real quick. The Lord is all about balance. This is Proverbs 11:1. A false balance is an abomination to the Lord, but a just weight, and it says, is his delight. In Proverbs 20:23, I can read it right here. Divers weights are an abomination to the Lord, and a false balance is not good. See? So things that's not balanced is not good. And that's why the Lord said, I will make him a helper, one who balances him, a counterpart. So it's not the same. One who is suitable. Let's see what that footnote say for suitable. Matter of fact, let's get the definition of suitable. It says suitable, right or appropriate for a particular person, purpose, or situation. So the Lord literally said, I'm gonna make him somebody that's his person, that's for him. It's specifically for him. She is completely designed. Her qualities, her skill set, her mentality is going to perfectly work for him. Like it said, right or appropriate for a particular person, purpose, or situation. So one who is suitable and complementary for him. Meaning, let's get complementary. It says combining in such a way as to enhance or emphasize the qualities of each other or another. This is what women being feminine, being submissive does. Combining in such a way as to enhance or emphasize the qualities of each other or another. See, and that's why I say women don't think about that. When we say we need a submissive woman, we just need you in line. We just need you to do your part. You know, women don't understand what men go through. So when you do your part and be in line, you don't understand how beneficial that is to a man. You know, and your job is not even hard. Your job is not hard. Because of course, some of the more basic thing is to cook, clean, wash. That's some of the more basic things that a man needs. And I definitely know from experience, having to do it by myself for a while. You definitely would need a woman to do certain things. Even though you can manage, it's much easier when you have somebody that's complimentary to help you. But then also too, men have to deal with the stresses of the world. Let me get this. 1 Peter chapter 3, AMP. It says, in the same way, you wives, be submissive to your own husbands, subordinate, not as inferior, but out of respect for the responsibilities entrusted to the husbands and their accountability to the Most High, and so partnering with them. This is the same thing that was said in Genesis chapter 2. You understand that this man is not only responsible for you, he's responsible for the children that y'all have together. He's responsible for making sure, because a man is a visionary. A man is going to think long term. So he's responsible for not only you and your children, he's responsible for y'all future. He's responsible for the generations that come after y'all. So when y'all children have children, he's responsible. He got to think about that. He got to continually make sure that y'all are safe, going into the protective role. But that protection ain't just physical. It's also spiritual. It's also emotional, mental, because women are susceptible to spiritual attacks too. As the scriptures say, the woman is the weaker vessel. And I know it's in Romans. Matter of fact, there it is. I just got to read down to it. I'm jumping the gun. But the woman is the weaker vessel. So this man, your husband, he's responsible for making sure that you are protected in all those, those different things. Like I said, it ain't just physical, it's spiritual and mental, emotional. Women are subject unto spiritual attacks too, just like the man is. So he has to, and children. So he has to protect you from those things. Like I said, and on top of the responsibilities entrusted to him by the Heavenly Father, So he's responsible for making sure the family knows the laws, statutes, and commandments, keeps the laws, statutes, and commandments, and that the children learn the laws, statutes, and commandments and keep it forever. Because let me see. What chapter is that? David. What he told Solomon right before he died about, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. I'm trying to figure out where is it. I'm not sure exactly. I'm not sure exactly where it would be. But the conversation that David had with Solomon when he gave him the rulership, he told him to keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. I'm trying to remember. Damn. Let me see if I can find it. It's Salakia. Okay, I'm in the right area. Okay, here we go. First Kings chapter 2 and 1 says, now the days of David drew nigh that he should die, and he charged Solomon his son, meaning he gave Solomon an order. He said, I go the way of all the earth. Be thou strong, therefore, and show thyself a man, and keep the charge of the Lord thy God, to walk in his ways, to keep his statutes and his commandments and his judgments and his testimonies, as it is written in the law of Moses, that thou mayest prosper in all that thou doest, and whithersoever thou turnest thyself. So David was finna die, and he told Solomon, who was the next king, he told him, look, make sure you keep the laws, statutes, and commandments. Make sure you walk in his ways. Make sure you keep his judgments, his testimonies, and everything that's written in the law. Make sure you do this now. Verse 4, that the Lord may continue his word, which he spake concerning me, saying, if thy children take heed to their way, to walk before me in truth with all their heart and with all their soul, there shall not fail thee, said he, a man on the throne of Israel. So the Lord had already told David, look, if you keep the laws, statutes, and commandments, and your seed after you, it's gonna always be somebody from your line on the throne. David was a visionary. David thought long term, and this is why he was telling Solomon. He gave Solomon the insight, like, look, you gotta keep doing what the Lord commands. This is the only way. So this is a part of. I'm gonna read this again. This is 1 Peter 3 and 1. In the same way, you wives, be submissive to your own husbands, subordinate, not as inferior, but out of the respect for the responsibilities entrusted to husbands and their accountability to the Most High, and so partnering with them. So this is a part of what men have to think about and consider. We have to think about, like, look, I want my generation, my seed after me, to continue to serve Yahweh Shem Yahushua, so they can be good in the long run. They can be good, and then the generation after them can be good. This is a part of the responsibilities for a man. This is why we need women to do their part, like I say, in submissiveness and in order. With all this, because it is a sense of pressure, but we able to handle it so long as we have someone helping us. Like I say, that's why I say partnering with them, so that even if some do not obey the word of the Most High, meaning if you got a husband that doesn't, that's not keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments and know about it, they may be won over to Yahweh without discussion by the godly lives of their wives. So it means, even though they might not truly being the truth, by you following the law, statutes, and commandments and still serving them and still being submissive because you're supposed to your husbands, it can possibly win them over into the truth. It says when they see your modest and respectful behavior. So women supposed to be modest in your dressing and in your conduct and your, like you said, respectful behavior. You're supposed to respect your husband, you know, and speak good, speak well of your husband, speak encouragement into him. Don't speak down on him or speak down of him. You know, why would you tear down your man? You know, that's your sense of salvation. That's your protection. Why would you want to tear him down? It says, together with your devotion and appreciation, love your husband, encourage him, and enjoy him as a blessing from the Most High. Because men are a blessing to women, and women can be a blessing to, well, women are blessing, you know, a good woman is a blessing to a man as well. It goes both ways, you know. Yeah, it goes both ways. Let me get that. I know I'm jumping everywhere. Lord willing, this is edifying. It's Sirach chapter 26. It might be 20. Yeah, 26 and 23. A wicked woman is given as a portion to a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth Yahweh by Shem Avashai. So when it said, love your husband, encourage him, and enjoy him as a blessing from the Most High, you know, it can go both ways. A godly woman given to a godly man, that's a blessing on both parts. And that's worthy of praising Yahweh by Shem Avashai for, because you truly will be thankful for that. Verse 3, your adornment must not be merely external, with an interweaving and elaborate knotting of the hair, and wearing gold jewelry, or being superficially preoccupied with dressing in expensive clothing. So your sense of godliness is not supposed to be external. You know, you're not supposed to be caught up in the external factors, always worrying about your appearance, because that's what the modern day woman is. They always worrying about their hair, their nails, their eyelashes, you know, how they look, the clothes they got on, showing body, showing skin. This is what they're focused on, but this is the wrong thing. Verse 4, it says, but let it be the inner beauty of the hidden person of the heart, meaning going into your character. This is what's really Yahweh by Shem Avashai is judging you on. The Lord could have put he could have put you in any type of body. He could have put you in the baddest body that you could have ever had. But if your inner person, your character is horrible, it ain't gonna matter. Simultaneously, he could have gave you the worst body ever, the worst shape ever, you know, and you had to live in that body. But if your character was good, you would be chosen. You know, because the Lord will pair you up with a good man. Like it say, a wicked woman is given to the portion of a wicked man, but a godly woman is given to him that feareth the Most High. So it's all about the character. Like I said, but let it be the inner beauty of the hidden person of the heart, with the imperishable quality and unfading charm of a gentle and peaceful spirit, one that is calm and self-controlled, not over anxious, but serene and spiritually mature, which is very precious in the sight of Yahweh by Shem Avashai. So that's what's important, you know. Verse 5, for in this way, in former times, the holy women who hoped in the Most High used to adorn themselves, being submissive to their own husbands, not listening to any other man. And even when women get a man, like say women get with a man of the Lord, a prophet, you know, you listen to him and you know what he do. You believe in the truth. You listen to that man. Watch his videos. You go to him and ask him questions. You know, you go and seek information from him, because that's what the scriptures say. Let me interject real quick before I continue on that verse. This is 1 Corinthians 14 and 35. Starting at 34. Starting at 33. Starting at 32. And the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets. So if you was a prophet, whatever lifetime you was a prophet in, you gonna come back in that same light as being a prophet. That's how the spirit works. You know, the prophets, like I say, the spirits of the prophets are subject to the prophets, meaning the prophets are the ones who have the spirit of prophecy, always and forever. Verse 33, for the Most High is not the author of confusion, but of peace, as in all the churches of the saints. Now it says, let your women keep silence in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. And you know, and women, when they hear this, they instantly hiss at this. You know, they get a nasty taste in their mouth when they hear something like this, but you don't understand the purpose. So you will see something or read something or hear this and instantly get offended by it without even knowing why. Why does the Lord say this? You have to understand why, you know, because again, like we just read, the spirit of the prophets are subject to the prophets. They are the ones that need to be speaking. They are the one, because this is direct information from Yahweh by Hashem Yahushua through the prophets. That's how he speaks to the people. That's literally how the Lord communicates. Let me get this so I can prove that. This is what is it? Amos chapter 3. I think it's like, let me see. Yeah, Amos chapter 3 is in the AMP verse 7. It says, surely the Lord Yahweh Shema Shah will do nothing without revealing his secret to his servants, the prophets. So, let me start up a little bit. Let me start at 6. It says, shall a trumpet be blown in the city, and the people shall not be alarmed and afraid? Shall misfortune or evil occur as punishment, and the Lord has not caused it? Surely the Lord will do nothing without revealing his secret to his servants, the prophets. So the Lord speaks to the people through his prophets. And we just read it in Second Ezra 15. Read it again. Behold, speak thou in the ears of my people the words of prophecy, which I will put in thy mouth, saith the Lord. So the Lord said, look, you speak these words that I'm putting in your mouth, because you are the prophet to speak unto the people. So when it goes back to 1 Corinthians 14, verse 34, let your women keep silent in the churches, for it is not permitted unto them to speak. You don't have anything to say, because the men of the Lord, first and foremost, the Lord deals with his men. You know, the tabernacle of the Lord is with men. That's what Revelations 21. The Lord deals with his men. And we just read the order. Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, Yahweh Shah, the Son, then the man, then the woman. The Lord Yahweh, he gives the order to Yahweh Shah. Yahweh Shah feeds it to the man, and then the man will give the orders to the woman. So that's why it's not permitted for women to speak. The man is the one, and the prophets are the ones speaking the words of Yahweh Shema Shah. Now it says, but they are commanded to be under obedience, as also saith the law. So, and we just read, women are to be submissive. Now verse 35, it says, and if they will learn anything, let them ask their husbands at home, for it is a shame for women to speak in the church. Right. Because that's out of order. And that brings embarrassment to that man, because it's like, why is your woman out of order? You know your woman out here embarrassing you, right? And that's what goes on in this world. You know, you got women, they'll be all loud. They'll be talking into somebody's face, you know, why they man there. Or even if they man ain't there, they might be getting recorded on social media, getting all rowdy. They might even be doing it against him. That's embarrassing. You know, that is extremely embarrassing for you to be out of order. That's not how you were designed to be. But again, a lot of women, they have a problem with this, but you don't understand why. So going back to 1 Peter 3 and 5 in the AMP, for in this way, former times, the holy women who hoped in the Most High used to adorn themselves, being submissive to their own husbands. So you get a man of the Lord and he actually, you know, he a prophet, doing videos, doing lessons. That's who you go to for information, not no other man. That's who you watch. That's who videos you watch. It says, and adapting themselves to them. Just as Sarah obeyed Abraham, following him and having regard for him as head of their house, calling him Lord. And we don't expect, women to just call us Lord, in today's time. But that's the level of respect she had for him. Because we call Yahweh Shah Lord. So calling your man Lord, there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing demeaning about that, because you just acknowledging him as your head. And you see Lord is in lowercase. So, like I said, in ancient times, a common title of honor and respect, that's the footnote for Lord. So it letting you know that that's respect. It's like we call Yahweh Shah Lord, that's our head. It says, and you have become her daughters if you do what is right without being frightened by any fear. That is being respectful towards your husband, but not giving into intimidation, nor allowing yourself to be led into sin, nor to be harmed. Right? So, not saying that if your husband trying to bring some harm to you, you just willingly go do it or something like that. It's clear harm, like he trying to threaten your life or something. But, you supposed to be submissive to your husband. So, let me go and wrap this up, because I don't even know how long I've been going. So let me go and kind of wrap this up. So Romans chapter 12, verse 1 and 2 in the AMP. Therefore, I urge you, brothers and sisters, by the mercies of the Most High, to present your bodies, dedicating all of yourselves, set apart as a living sacrifice, holy and well pleasing to the Most High, which is your rational, logical, intelligent act of worship. This is for men and women. This is how we supposed to be. As a man, we of course, we walking in the ways of the Lord to the best of our ability, keeping the laws, statutes, and commandments. But we also doing our videos, teaching on the block, teaching on the street corners. This is us making our bodies living sacrifice. And for women, you being in order and being submissive to your husband, and accepting also that there will be other women that's going to be submissive to your husband as well. You got to accept that, because if you can't accept that, then you're just going to be on the outside looking in, and you're going to be subject to all those judgments that we was going into. But you have to accept that. That's a part of, because what you sacrificing is your old mindset too. You shedding off that old mindset. That's what verse 2 going to. It says, and do not be conformed to this world any longer with its superficial values and customs. So the way of this world and the operations of this world, you have to let go of that. And for women, a part of that is first being submissive to your husband, but then also too, you got to shed off the fact that other women is going to love your husband just like you do. And a man can love multiple women, but women were designed to be with one man. So you gotta understand and accept that if that man is showing love to another woman, it's not because he love you any less or he don't love you at all. It's that he is capable, because men are capable of loving multiple women. So you gotta understand that woman is looking for salvation too, just like you are. So if she's looking for salvation, he has to show her love too. He can't show favoritism. Let me see. Do I want to get that? I might as well, since it's on my mind. Might as well. Exodus 21 and 10. I'm gonna get in the AMP. It's Exodus chapter 21, starting 10. If he going into it, because this is going into one of the laws, this is an Israelite man. If he marries again, her food, raiment, her food, clothing, and privilege as a wife shall he not diminish. Matter of fact, is this? Let me see what the KJV say. Because there was one version that actually I really liked. Yeah, here we go. In the GNT, if a man takes in the verse 10, Exodus 21:10, the GNT, if a man takes a second wife, he must continue to give his first wife the same amount of food and clothing and the same rights that she had before. So he can't just neglect the first wife that he had because now he got a second wife. He has to still do the same thing. And the marriage rights, they're going to still have sex, still give her the emotional love, all of these things. He has to continue to do that. So with us coming back into our culture, we understand that we ain't gonna be, you got to understand as a woman that this man has a responsibility to take care of all the women that's under him, and he have to consider these things. So you can't just expect him to only be for you. So again, and do not be conformed to this world any longer with its superficial values and customs, but be transformed and progressively changed as you mature spiritually by the renewing of your mind, focusing on godly values and ethical attitudes, so that you may prove for yourselves what the will of the Most High is, and that which is good and acceptable and perfect in his purpose, in his plan and purpose for you. So you got to continually renew your mind. You got to continually progress and, working on yourself, because the time is short. The time is extremely short. So like I said, transform and progressively change as you mature spiritually by the renewing of your mind. You got to change the way you think. So upon doing that, that's when, things are really, you will start to understand the way the Lord has things set up. But, Lord willing, it was an edifying lesson. I didn't even expect to go this long. I don't know how long it's been until I end the video. So Lord willing, it was an edifying lesson. And on that note, I want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, by Hashem, Yahweh Shah, by Hashem Rakakwadash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of GMS that rule well. Peace, love, and salutations to all the brothers out there pushing this word of sincerity and the truth. Shalom to the brothers, sisters, and children out there keeping this word of sincerity and the truth. And until next time, shalom.